Hey guys, welcome back. So it's been what, 2 weeks
At least.
since we last posted. So I apologize. I got busy. Things happened. She was traveling. I was traveling. So that's just the way the story goes. But we're back, and we do have a "Am I the Asshole" to read today. So we'll get started on that. Oh my God, excuse me. Give our inputs on it, and then just kind of go from there. But go ahead and take it away, Care Bear.
Oh, I would love to. All
Woo.
right. Am I the asshole for arguing with my trainer? In the middle of spring, I, 27 female, decided to get a personal trainer. I've always struggled with my weight, and when I saw 195 pounds on the scale, I knew it was time. I wonder how tall this person is. I made some progress, but then I'd have these moments where it was like one step forward, two steps back. In mid June, weighing 187, so they lost almost 10 pounds
Mhm.
at this point. In mid June, weighing 187, I decided to go home for 2 weeks. I called it Extended Father's Day and worked from my parents' house. And then I went on vacation for 2 weeks with friends. I showed up to my session with my
So
trainer.
I'm just sorry. So 2 weeks with the father, and then for the family, and then 2 weeks on her own vacation. So it's a month. Keep going. I'm just trying to
In
do
mid
that.
June, in the middle of spring is how
Spring.
it starts. So April, Mayish was when she was 195.
Okay.
And in mid June, she was 187. So she lost a little under 10 pounds in, we can guess, a month and a half.
Right. I'm trying to just see what how long she was on vacation for, because she said she wanted to go see her parents or
Gotcha.
something like that.
Gotcha. Decided to go home for 2 weeks and
All right. So 2 weeks.
then was on vacation for 2 weeks. So we're in like July
Okay.
now
So all
in
right.
this
So
story.
about a month. Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, I showed up to my session with my trainer yesterday and weighed in for the first time in a month. It read 205. My trainer, who is usually pretty positive, just sighs and goes, "So I guess we didn't stick to the diet and exercise." I said that the number wasn't good. He pointed out the obvious that I've never been heavier and now I am further from my goal. I asked if we could skip the waist measurement. Sarcastically, he asked why that would be. I told him I got it, I get it, I put on the pounds. I asked if we could just move on. He, still irked, said that I had to do more reps of everything to get rid of the weight that I added. I countered that we should just do the same amount and told him it was fine if it took me a bit longer to reach my goal. He took issue with my laissez faire attitude, as he called it. I took issue with his inability to just move on and I left. Am I the asshole?
Woo. Okay. I necessarily don't think she's the asshole. The way the trainer handled that was horrible. He could have did a much better job. Punishing someone for putting on weight is not how you go about encouraging them to stay on track, because you're kind of just you're making you're further piling on the guilt at that point. You're making them feel even worse, and if they feel even worse, and they already feel, I'm sure she already felt guilty from the fact that she obviously splurged for the past month while she went to go visit her parents, and then when she was on her own vacation. But there's so many different ways he could have handled that, and he's allowed to be disappointed, but you can be disappointed and be tactful on how you approach someone, especially when they're paying you or whatever to help them. There was just so many different ways he could have handled that without putting her on the defensive, pretty much, because she went on the defensive pretty much immediately because of, I mean, what he said. But at the same time, as a trainer, I
Your job is accountability,
accountability. So
but you have a responsibility to also be kind.
yeah, and I mean, if he was so concerned about her weight, he could have, or about her staying on track, he could have just followed up with her while she was going. I don't know if they had like conversations or not. If my clients, when they are not in the gym for an extended period of time, like we do, just kind of touch bases to see how things are going. And he could have done that. But in terms of this, I don't think she's the asshole. Like, obviously she slipped, she made a mistake, she splurged. It's okay, it happens. You kind of just get back on track and keep it moving. I kind of felt like he took it personally, I think.
Is it hard for you as a trainer to not take things personally sometimes?
Sometimes, and I think it depends on.
How do you separate not taking things personally and knowing that when a client of yours isn't on track the way that you would like them to be or they should be, that it's not a personal attack on you or your training style.
It actually took me a little bit to kind of to get to that point because I would take it personal when you're giving someone something to do, you're expecting them to do it, especially because like to me it's like you're paying me to help you, and like I don't want you wasting your time, I don't want you wasting your money, and when you have clients that don't do what you suggested they do in terms of like working out on days that they say they want to work out or eating certain macros or hitting certain caloric ranges or whatever, it does kind of make you feel like like do they respect me enough to listen to the advice that I have to give them. And I think kind of being able to kind of, I guess, put yourself in their shoes and kind of separate, I guess, the trainer from your trainer persona from who you actually are, is beneficial. But it took me a while. It was trial and error. It took me a while because I would get offended. I would get offended. I'm like, why are they not listening? Like, is it me? Am I doing something right? Am I a bad trainer? Like, why can't they follow through? But over the course of doing this for a while now, I've just learned that people.
So it happened more when you were new in your
Yeah,
training journey.
it happened more when I was new, and I definitely knew when it was happening that I could not continue to like have that mindset moving forward because I would just drive myself crazy. Like I would drive myself crazy being like, why is this person not doing this and you're not doing this? And all I'm asking for you to do is do this. It should be easy, but you gotta not do that because then you come off like that, and then you're not being supportive. Because even though we're supposed to be holding people accountable, we like you said, we need to be kind while we're doing it, and we need to be supportive while we're doing it. Because if I was her and I made a mistake like that, and I came to my trainer and he's like, yeah, well, now I'm going to make you work even harder. I'd be like, yo, bro, like, what are you talking about? Like, no, like, help me get back on track. And she was right. Like, nothing needed to change. Reps didn't need to change or anything like that. But help me get back on track. Don't punish me for making a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, I my brain is going to what was going on for that month? That's a lot of weight to gain in a
Yeah.
month. Cuz don't you need to eat at a surplus of like 3,000 some
So
calories
it's
a
30.
day?
So it's 3,500 calories,
3,500.
and no one really does that. So that stuff that's like that's accumulative. Like it adds up over time. Honestly, if I had to take a guess on the the huge influx in that month, I really don't think she put on like 20 pounds or whatever. I think a lot of it was water weight. She
Right. So it wasn't
probably
like 20 pounds of fat,
no.
you're
I
saying.
mean, if she was already if she lost 10 pounds, and I'm assuming that when she lost those 10 pounds, she was eating better foods, and she probably splurged when she was on this trip, had more carbs than she normally did. She probably drank, so her body is just retaining more water. So I guarantee you, like a majority of that weight is just water weight, which just comes off over time. I don't think she put on actual 20 pounds of like body fat because then that would send alarms. If I was a trainer, if she was my client and she put on actually 20 pounds of body fat in that short amount of time, that would worry me. That would send alarms to my head, be like, yo, something else is going on. We need to figure out like what's going on. If you're putting on that much weight, 20 pounds in a month, like that's a lot.
It is. Yeah, I was just thinking cuz you know that I gained weight through COVID and having long COVID.
Yeah.
And that took almost 2 years for me to gain 30 pounds.
It's
And now it's taking some time to get it off, and that's fine. That's fine.
but
Slow
I
and
mean, and
steady.
I'm glad you bring that up though, because like it takes time to put weight on. It's gonna take time to lose the weight as well too. Like you,
Yeah, like I've been with my trainer for we're almost at a year, and I am fitting in pants that I couldn't wear like a year ago, year and a half ago. But I knew when I started this journey that it was that I wasn't gonna just lose weight, and I
mhm.
haven't. It's like I said, it's taken like a good 10 months just to solidly lose like 15 to 20
And
pounds.
that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people when they come to trainers wanting to like is if because the majority of people what people want is weight loss. And I don't think they realize that like yo, like you didn't put that weight on overnight. Like you steadily put that weight on over a period
Yeah.
of months or years. It may not, and depending on how much you need to lose, whatever what your goal weight is, you may not need to put in as much time as you did putting on the weight, but regardless, it's still going to take you time to lose the weight sustainably to a point where you're not doing some crazy diet, or you're not restricting yourself of something, and then once you introduce it again, the weight just comes back on or whatever. So,
Yeah.
I think slow and steady, definitely, wins the race here. Just do what's easy for you and do what you can stay consistent with.
It's exciting too when you do like slow and steady weight loss because it's like, oh, it's easier to tie my shoes today.
Yeah.
Or for me, I suffer from really bad inflammation from having COVID, so it affected my smell. And now that I'm doing what I'm doing, it's like, oh wow, my smell's coming back. My inflammation's going down, and my smell's coming back. This is awesome. But
It's like when you lose that stuff, you don't realize how much you taking it for granted. So,
yeah.
I'm glad that going the slow route is working for you. I feel like that.
Well, and I know that you have clients that it's worked for too. I'm not going
Yeah.
to name names, but I can think of people that have worked with you that are seeing tremendous changes just outside of their weight, like
hmm
their lifestyles are changing.
Lifestyles, their mindset, everything, and it's a journey. It takes time, and if you're really serious about implementing this stuff into your life, like, you got to realize it's a trial and error thing, and you got to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you,
Yeah.
what you like, what you don't like, and everyone's different. So it's tough though, because you see a lot of the online influencers telling people to do X, Y, Z, telling them to do X, Y, Z, and it's like, and I did this before too. What works for them may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for somebody else. Like, you may find the secret sauce or whatever, that, like, you got it figured out. You got it all planned out. You can execute it easily, and then you want to share it with people, because that's what I did. I was like, oh, I figured it out. Let me share it with the world. But what worked for me, doesn't work for everybody else. So it took me a while to realize that.
People
But
also have to be in a place to receive that information. Like
yeah,
you were so
yeah,
excited to share it, and I get why you were so excited to share it,
yeah.
but based off of so many factors, people have to be in a place to receive that information and absorb it and
hmm
be excited for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's yeah, that's
It's weird that you say that, like, because it's true, and
must be nice syndrome.
must be nice. Yeah, must be nice. And it's like, it is nice. It is nice to feel healthy, but prior to that, I wasn't really feeling the best. I wasn't doing what I needed to do for Skylar, and once I started
Well,
doing
you
what
had high cholesterol. Did you have high blood pressure?
I had high cholesterol, I had high blood pressure, I was lethargic all the time, so I was just tired all the time. I would
You were meaner. Like I feel like you got agitated
Oh
easier.
yeah, I'm sure yeah, well, yeah, I mean, my blood pressure's high. I'm probably easily agitated.
Maybe mean wasn't the right word because I don't think you've ever been a
I
mean
just had a
person to
short I had a
me. You
short
had a shorter
fuse.
temper.
Yeah.
You were more easily agitated back then when you weren't feeling the best.
And a lot of that just goes back to me just not feeling good. And it wasn't just like physically, it was mentally as well too. It took a big toll on me, and it wasn't until I really started working on that stuff, and kind of, when you start feeling good and you know how it feels to, like, feel healthy and not feel like crap anymore, it's a game changer. And I feel like anyone who goes from feeling like crap for a large part of their lives to not feeling like crap and feeling better, and, like, just having this new perspective, is going to want to share it with however many people are willing to listen.
Okay, but the real secret sauce. The real secret sauce. Are you ready? This is just my opinion. But so you get to a place where you're feeling good physically
hmm
and you're like unstoppable and doors are opening for you in terms of like your health and the way you're feeling, right?
Yeah,
But you haven't worked on your shitty mental health yet.
there's people out there who do that.
R-
So
right?
yeah, yeah,
The secret sauce is truly working on both.
yeah.
Because, and I said this in a past podcast, it doesn't matter that you can lift X amount of weight if like you're depressed or you're being mean to people or you haven't unpacked things that happened in your childhood that have led to some of the warped beliefs that you have now.
hmm
Um yeah, I don't want to get too much on a soapbox, but I
Nah,
just
go ahead and get on
I
your
just want I
soapbox,
just want to
girl.
emphasize how important mental health is. And I feel like when it comes to health, we as a society, when I say, are you healthy? People will automatically go to physical health, which is very important because how could you be healthy if the vessel that carries you is not healthy? Like, I understand how important physical health is. However, it drives me crazy that are you healthy doesn't translate into spiritual health, into sexual health, into mental health. Like, these are all very, very, very important. And I'm not sure if I'm missing any because I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but I just wish that there was more of a focus on especially mental health in gym settings. Um, I know that there's a lot of people that run to the gym and they make the joke like, I'm here so I don't kill someone.
Yeah.
But like, bro, that tells me that there's more to work on than just the weight number that you're lifting or how many reps you can do. And I'm just so strongly passionate about people working on their mental health as well. Um, just a real, like, because you and I have both done therapy. We've done it together. We've done it separately. We've both worked on our mental health. And I just think about the place that we were in back in 2016. We were both really, like, we were in great shape. We both were doing really good. But our mental health, we weren't working on. And it
Mm-hmm.
just fostered so many arguments between us. And there was just so much that we had to work on.
I think.
I think things are better now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. After we've both gone through our mental health journeys,
Yeah.
like, I think that it has made you such a better coach. I remember before you would get frustrated at things that now you would be like, hey, maybe we should look into this a little more. Like, are you okay? Like, what led to this?
Yeah.
And we're not therapists. Mostly coaching is not. We're not therapy, but I just think that it's nice to have somebody in your back pocket that cares about your mental health and is taking that into consideration.
Yeah, and I think a lot of trainers, at least in person, because I won't speak for people who do online because it's just a different beast in itself. But I think a lot of in-person trainers, especially at these big box corporate gyms, that's probably the last thing they think about is mental health. People are there for their physical health, and I think people don't realize how the two really do go hand in hand. When I started working on my physical health, I felt like, and this was me probably generalizing a lot of people too, with trying to adopt my mindset or whatever. But you know how I am. Like once I started that journey of self improvement, it didn't just stop with my physical health. I've been trying to improve myself in pretty much like all areas of my life. And
So I have my own small library, and Skylar is now competing with me. All these self-help books that are coming
oh
in.
yeah, yeah, and then all self help books. A lot of them are. I mean, I'm listening to Goggins. He even says in his
No, I'm
latest
really
one.
impressed with what you've been surrounding yourself with.
Yeah, it's just I've been under the assumption like once you start this journey of improvement, and it doesn't matter which one you start with, it could be your mental, spiritual, relationship, sexual, physical, whatever. Like once you start that path of improvement, like it kind of, I feel like if you're really serious about it, it kind of bleeds into the other ones, and then you want to naturally just improve those as well too, because that's what happened to me. Like it started off physical, and then it just started to slowly branch off into these other areas of my life that I wanted to improve, that I knew that I needed to improve. And because I had the experience of changing my physical health, I knew that it was possible for me to work on my mental health, to work on my spiritual health, my relationships, my sexual health, like whatever it is that I needed to work on, my mindset in general. I knew that it was possible for me to do that just from the success I saw from improving my physical health.
And it feels good to feel good.
It does. It does. I think I talked to you about this the other day about like and I kind of was branching onto this a little bit earlier too. Like once you get to the point where you know how it feels to feel good, like you don't want to ever go back to feeling like crap again.
And because I have the experience, and I think most people could have this experience. Like, I know what it feels like to go back to before,
Yeah.
and like it sucks. It's It's been a really interesting like 7 years for me, for my journey.
I mean, how has it felt for you to do that?
I feel now so more rounded than I was before, like well rounded, you know.
Like more balanced?
More balanced, and I just feel, I don't know, I just feel like I have a stronger footing than I did before. When I back in the past, like 2016, 2017, that period of time, you and I, like, we were training to do Spartans and Tough Mudders, and I was strong, and I was, flipping huge tires by myself, and I was doing like really, really impressive physical things, but I hadn't worked on my mental health yet, which I had had a really nasty breakdown when you and I met. So I was kind of covering my mental health, like just pushing over it with doing the physical stuff with you. And then when I got COVID, I had so I have long COVID and I had inflammation in my heart. I had to do 2 rounds of steroids for it. And then I had the inflammation that caused me to lose my smell. And I
Hmm.
didn't have my smell for like 2.5 years. That was very detrimental. And during that period of time, I think a lot of people gained weight during COVID. I
Hmm.
don't really need to speak on what COVID
They
was
called it they
like
called it COVID weight.
because like we all know what COVID was like. It was terrible.
Y'all should have saw my freaking face when it first started. That's the bad. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's about to make a really inappropriate joke. Anyway.
Naughty.
Anyway. So, yeah, being in a place where I was overweight in like 2015 thanks to alcohol and
Hmm.
lifestyle choices. Lost all this weight, didn't drink alcohol, didn't even have caffeine for like what, like 2 years?
Yeah.
It was almost 3, like it was
It
a
was
long
it was a
time
hot minute.
that I went with maintaining that, and then COVID happened, and before you know it, I can't say it was like somebody else took over my body because I was very much there and in control of myself,
Yeah.
but in a sense, I almost felt, I don't want to say out of control because I don't, okay, I won't say out of control, but I knew what I was doing, but there was a part of me that was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I was bringing home White Claw all the time, and I was
Oh,
drinking at that period of
I remember that
time.
period.
And I was just eating all the time from being at home. And then that kind of sprung me into a depression. And then I discovered that what burnout
I was gonna
is.
say.
I discovered that I was, experiencing burnout,
So
and I had to rehabilitate
I
myself from
wanna
that.
so let's talk about that a little bit. Can you kind of describe like what the burnout is? Because I feel like people are gonna think burnout means like overworking yourself when it could.
Well, it kind of is in a way. I mean, I don't want to do the "my life is so hard" Olympics because we all have really hard things that we go through.
Right.
But I had some stuff happen in my teen years and my early 20s that is very traumatic and I didn't deal with. So I kind of had that still on my stove on the
Hmm.
back burner. I hadn't cleaned it and taken it off yet, you know? My pots were stacking up.
Yeah.
And then you and I deciding to do the journey that we did with our careers was adding stress to me. Having a handicapped parent was adding stress to me at the time. I mean, that's much better now, but at the time, it was just like all these things were stacking up. And then COVID happened, and I was personally sick and attacked by COVID. And at that time, we didn't know what was happening. And I just feel like I hit a wall and I couldn't move. This is the best way. I just feel like I was accelerating at this wall with all these things that I wasn't dealing with this, you know, lumpy rug that I was shoving things under. And all of a sudden I just couldn't do
I'm
anything.
gonna stop you right there. So I've been listening to David Goggins' Never Finished, his latest book, and he's actually has his mom come on there and she talks. And they like him and his mom went through a lot of trauma when they were with his dad, like a lot of
Yeah.
abuse and stuff like that. And she brought up the fact that she really didn't even seek help, like mental help, until 2 years ago, I think she said. And she's 73. So she
Wow.
waited that long before because she tried one time, she said, when she first got into college when she was 36. And like,
So she went 40 years basically without help and trying to,
oh yeah,
it's just,
she went a very long
what
time.
a heavy load.
But she brought up a good point. So she said that because Goggins had he has a brother as well too, an older brother, I think. And she was like, a lot of people talk about fight or flight when it comes to trauma, but she says no one ever talks about the third response, which is freeze, which you just kind of
Freezing. Well, there's
freeze.
also fawning
Oh,
too.
what's that?
Oh, I keep talking.
But the fact that you said that you felt stuck kind of made me think of like you're freezing, like you're kind of just like you're stuck.
Here we go.
You don't know how to move or how to you're paralyzed pretty much.
The fawn response is when an individual tries to avoid or minimize distress or danger by pleasing and appeasing the threat.
Oh, is that kind of like
Someone
Stockholm?
responding in this way would do whatever they can to keep the threat or abuser happy despite their own needs or wants. It's
So,
kind of just like, oh, I need to make an example, and now I've drawn a blank. I do understand. Oh, what's an example of fawning? Okay.
I think of like a mini Stockholm.
The
kinda.
fawn response involves trying to appease or please a person who was both a care provider and a source of threat. Examples of fawning include, I hoped that by caring for them, they might care for me. I never showed my true feelings for fear of retaliation.
Oh, so is that so? So there's four Fs: fight, flight, freeze,
Freeze and
fawn.
Yeah. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
She
you're
feels
good.
like she was in freeze.
Yeah, she was in freeze because she would freeze a lot, and it took her. He used to slap her. He used to slap her all the time, and
Her husband did, the boy's
yeah,
father.
yeah. Her husband did. Trunus, I think his name was. But yes, it took like 17 years, she said, but the last slap, that was when she kind of just snapped out of that freeze because she'd been stuck like that for years, and that's when she finally made a move to start working on getting out of the situation that they were in. But I feel like the burnout, I mean, it can be related to trauma, right? The 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 feeling of burnout or just
I
dealing with the
believe.
symptoms of it.
Yeah.
That's generally where I was trying to go with that. I was really, really winded.
I mean, okay, what are the 5 symptoms of burnout? Headaches, stomach and intestinal issues, fatigue, frequent illness, and changes in appetite, sleep. Does that not sound like 2020, 2021, and 2022 for me?
I feel like it'd be hard to like diagnose yourself with that though, because
Here we go. Maybe this is a little bit more. So, what does burnout feel like? Burnout symptoms include feeling exhausted, empty, and unable to cope with daily life. If left unaddressed, your burnout may even make it difficult to function. Learn the physical and mental symptoms of burnout, factors that may increase your risk, and a few recovery strategies.
Gotcha. Okay.
So those were just more like the physical symptoms
physical
of burnout,
symptoms,
but
okay.
it's not just those physical symptoms because that's like a common cold as well. Some of those.
What are your thoughts on do you think we as a whole deal with a lot of burnout just
Oh
by
yeah,
the way we live our lives?
I think in society we do so much. It's crazy what's expected of modern people. It's so crazy. And I'm not even going to say like more is expected of women or more is expected of men. Like as a woman, I understand like where I've been slighted, but I can also see where you have been slighted as well. Just society expects so much from us in different ways, you know. One thing that I will say, I love that we're talking about women's mental health, but I also love that we're talking about men's mental health more in this time period that we're in because they're both just so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that men have definitely been trying to be a lot more emotionally available. I forgot what else I read too lately, and I saw that women are working on. I forget where I read it at, but they're working on their own thing as well too. Just trying to break out of the societal masculinity, femininity thing, and kind of just be human.
Just be
be a
human.
person, yeah. But
hey, before we get too ahead of ourselves, I
you wanna
wanted
read
to
some
read
comments?
you. Yeah, so way back to the very beginning.
Just rewind.
Am I the asshole for arguing with my trainer? And just to remind everybody, she had lost a little bit of weight in probably like May to June. She lost 10 pounds and then she went on this vacation. It totaled up to 4 weeks. She gained a little over 10, like 15 pounds. She probably gained roughly. And her trainer was kind of a dick about it. And she took issue and just left. So anyway, the top comment was, everybody sucks here. Your trainer doesn't have the best attitude, but it also sounds like you're wasting his time. If you weren't going to follow his advice, then why hire him? And there's a comment under it that says, personal trainers only have so much time in the day, thus can only take so many clients. It sounds like the personal trainer would rather take on someone who will treat them seriously. Also, very rarely do they have the ability to cancel contracts with clients. Naturally, they can. However, it's a word of mouth business, and one really bad review from an angry former client can seriously mess up their future ability to attract new clients.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So,
Do you want to read that last one?
Sure. I'm sorry, what? It's like a therapist. They can choose to refer you out if they want, but you're not wasting their time. The only person losing here is the client. The professional is still getting paid.
I agree. And
that need a second to form my thoughts.
That brought me back a little bit. Wait, go back up again to that comment. The first one.
Okay. Everyone sucks here. Your trainer doesn't have the best attitude, but it also sounds like you're wasting his time. If you weren't going to follow his advice, why hire him?
So like that right there is kind of like how I felt for a while when I first started training people. It's like, why hire me if you're not going to listen to me? Why hire me? Like, why spend the money to hire me if you're not gonna, whatever. But ultimately, I think the reason why, at least for me, why it bothered me so much is I don't. You know how I am about time. I am very precious. I am very. You can chill. She can chill. I'm very precious of my time. I really value my time, and I value everyone else's time as well too. So I don't like wasting anyone's time, and I don't like wasting my time. But on that front,
all right, I'm done.
You know, she's not wasting the trainer's time. Like, he's getting paid regardless, like the last comment just said. But she is wasting her time, and it's just like.
How do you specifically feel about the trainer's response? You are a trainer. If you found out that somebody that was under you on your team or somebody that you associated with professionally was treating their clients that way after what we would consider a loss or a bump in the road or a step back, how would you feel knowing that this person is your colleague?
If they were under me?
Yeah, just if they were under you, if you got to the point where you hired trainers under you for mostly coaching, or if it was just somebody that you work alongside of, somebody that you're professionally associated with, no matter how they are associated with you.
I would not agree with the way that they handled it. And if someone was if I had a trainer working under me, I'm going to make sure that they are following like my core values. And one of my core values is not being a dick to your client if they make a mistake. And I think there's a time and place for tough love, but it all goes back to being tactful as well too on how you.
So do you think that perhaps you would have been like, you see that the scale is much higher, would you have just put them through a workout, maybe pushed them a little, but not made them do like extra reps or extra weight, and then send a message later?
No, I would have just.
Would you have addressed it at that time?
Yeah, I just would have addressed it at the time. If that was my client and they came to me and they put on 15 pounds from their 4-month vacation,
4-week vacation.
Or 4-week vacation, I would 4 months from the.
I want to do what they do for a living.
From their 4-week vacation, honestly, like it would shock me at first to see that number, but it really wouldn't bother me that much. I would just tell them like, yo, it's okay. Like it happened. We're going to get back on track. That's all that matters. Like, don't beat yourself up over this. Like, this is fine. Like, you enjoyed yourself. Like, now it's time to get back on the wagon and keep it moving. And that would be it.
What do you think that trainer's response is going to do to her mental health and her ability to move forward?
That she's going to probably doubt herself moving forward when it comes to the ability to lose the weight and keep it off. And if she is someone who really does need help, now that she's just had this bad experience with this trainer, and I've dealt with this before too, with people I've talked to, they are really reluctant to work with a trainer because of an experience that they had with another one. So,
And then like compound that by having 2 bad trainers in a row.
yeah. So then if you have 2 bad trainers, like the last thing you want to do, probably, you're going to be really hesitant to reach out and work with a trainer and
Or you'll think that you can do it
do it
yourself.
yourself
Get
and
onto social media and
follow
all the
all the wrong
skewed
advice.
information
Yeah.
that's on social media.
There's a lot of skewed information on social media. Y'all really do your research. Like, this kind of side note, like, if you have a favorite influencer, like even your favorite influencers, like ones that have like millions of followers and stuff, they spew some wrong information. And
And they also have like for example, there's some dietitians that I follow on Instagram and I really like them, but now I've got to dig in a little bit more to their channels and what they're about because I've learned that some bigger food corporations are paying people to do ads
yeah,
for food that aren't really healthy.
yeah.
And they're like, "This is fine. This, whatever
There's
grape
a
yum yum mix
there's a
is good
guy
for
on
you."
there's a guy on Instagram. I forget his name, but he actually goes through and like like the influencers, fitness influencers that Photoshop their photos, or they are doing workouts that really just don't make any sense. I was actually watching one today, and I forget what her IG handle is. She's got about 1.3 million followers, and she did a video. It was like, if you want to snatch your waist or whatever, or, do these exercises, and it was
Get
her.
snatched.
Yeah, it was her literally like skiing in place and stuff, like doing the most off the wall exercises that ultimately would do nothing to it's nothing. It's nothing. But people believe it because she's got this huge following. She is in shape, and
She got them
she
angles.
she got the angles, so they believe what they're seeing, and it's just like, and he debunked the crap out of her, but it's just like it goes to show you how easily people are manipulated online when it comes to fitness and health. And I understand why a lot of people get confused as well too, because there's so much misinformation out there. You can't tell what's actually factual and what's just straight bullshit. So, and then you got people in that situation where they are trying to do their own research, but they don't. It's just one person's telling you to do this, other person's telling you to do that, and then you're just like, well, what the hell do I do? I have no idea, because you're telling me I'm doing this wrong, you're telling me I'm doing this right. It's conflicting. I'm confused. So just be careful. Do your research. Ask for help from me. This podcast is sponsored by Let's Mosley. No, I'm just joking.
And Mosley Coaching.
And Mosley Coaching. But yeah, the trainer is the asshole in this, and I don't think that everyone's the asshole in this. I don't think she did anything wrong by
getting frustrated.
I would have got frustrated too.
Interesting. I think this is the first time that you've been on the person's side.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just pointing out something that's interesting.
Interesting that you would say that.
Isn't it though?
Yeah. What are you trying to say?
I wasn't trying to
No, we
say
about to
anything.
fight.
And on that note,
but guys, we're gonna wrap up here soon. So just a quick little tidbit. I don't think we were talking about the format of the podcast moving forward. I don't think we're gonna do Am I the Assholes all the time, right?
not all the time. We'll see. We got some tricks up our sleeves. We're gonna try to keep this entertaining for you.
Yeah. I forgot to mention earlier in the video my little spiel. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe. I still have the pair of headphones. We still need to reach 100 subscribers. I believe we're halfway there now. So just hit the button, subscribe. Takes you less than a second. Follow
Thank you
your
to
boy.
everybody that's subscribed so far. We really
Yes,
appreciate
we really
it.
appreciate you. And I think
that's all.
I think that's it. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Let's Mosley.
Let's Mosley. Do your research. Stay safe out in these streets. Don't trust these trainers or these influencers. But yeah. And with that being said, let's Mosley.